Hi, my name is Kyle, and I maintain the instruments for Inspire Music. In this video, we're going to learn how to properly assemble, disassemble, and maintain a clarinet. The clarinet has 5 main parts: the bell, the lower joint, the upper joint, the barrel, and the mouthpiece. To assemble the clarinet, we always start from the bottom. We remove the bell from the case and our lower joint. We place our hand over the keys of the lower joint, pressing them down. We insert the cork joint into the bell and twist and push them together. Then we take our upper joint and insert the lower end of the upper joint into the top of the lower joint. We push down on our upper joint, these 2 keys here in the center, as well as the keys on our lower joint down here, and twist and push the instrument together. When we push the instrument together, we want to make sure we line up our connection key. Oftentimes the key will be simply a straight key, or there will be lines here to show us where the key should be lined up. This is very important to make sure all the keys in the clarinet work the way they're intended to. Then we remove our barrel from the case and insert the wide end of the barrel onto the top of the upper joint. Again, we hold the upper joint over the same keys we did before, and grabbing our barrel, twist and push to put the barrel on. Finally, we add the mouthpiece to the clarinet. We take the mouthpiece out of its ligature and cap, insert the cork joint into the top of the barrel. Holding at the barrel, we twist and push until the mouthpiece is on the clarinet. Finally, we must line up the mouthpiece. The mouthpiece table, the flat part, must line up with the top key on the back of the clarinet. And so, with a little twist here, I can get the clarinet lined up. To place the reed on the clarinet, first we need to remove the reed from its plastic case, which usually slides out like that. Then we need to wet the reed in our mouth. Once the reed has been wet, we put it on the mouthpiece, applying the flat part of the reed to the flat part or table of the mouthpiece. Then we take our ligature, which will be either metal or plastic, and slide it over the top of the mouthpiece. We loosen the screws to make sure the ligature gets past the lines on the side of the mouthpiece and below the bark on the reed. Once the ligature is in place, we pinch the reed with our fingers, wiggling it from side to side to make sure that it's in exactly the right spot. It needs to be even left to right. We also look at the top to make sure that the reed is all the way to the tip of the mouthpiece, not beyond, not below. Once we get the reed in exactly the right place, we tighten our ligature screws. And the screws should be tight enough that the mouthpiece can be grabbed or twisted without the reed coming out of place. This is our reed in the correct spot. To remove the reed from the mouthpiece, we go in reverse. We remove the ligature screws, take the ligature off the top, and remove our reed from the mouthpiece. And then we place the reed into its case. Be very careful when placing the reed into the case that you don't accidentally chip it on this case itself. The ends of the reeds are very delicate and fragile, and we don't want to break them because that will make the reed not work. When we're done playing the clarinet, we disassemble it in the reverse order that we put it together. So we begin by taking the mouthpiece off of the top. We do so by grabbing the barrel and the mouthpiece and twisting and pulling. The mouthpiece is returned to the ligature and mouthpiece cap in the case and placed into the space for it in the case. Now we must swab the clarinet to remove any extra moisture. We do this by taking the weight of the swab and dropping it into the top of the clarinet. We feed the swab down into the clarinet, and the weight will come out the bottom. We grab the weight and pull the swab through the clarinet. This cleans out any extra moisture in the clarinet, helps prevent mold on the pads, and helps make sure that they last a good long time. Then we continue with our disassembly of the clarinet. We hold the lower joint as we did when we put the clarinet together, and we grab the barrel as we did putting the clarinet together, and we twist and pull. We replace the barrel into the socket that it came from. To separate the upper joint from the lower joint, we hold the lower joint over the keys at the bottom, and the upper joint over the keys at the middle, and twist and pull the pieces apart, gently. We place the upper joint into the case, taking note that the keys on the side go into the cutout for them in the space. If we don't put those keys in the right spot, then that can cause damage or bending to the keys, and the clarinet may not work correctly. To separate the upper joint and lower joint and the bell, we hold the bell and the lower joint over the bottom keys, twist and pull, place the clarinet or the bell in the case, and the lower joint of the clarinet in with the thumb rest in the deep cutout for the thumb rest in the case. Sometimes when assembling the clarinet, the corks will be difficult to put together. As you can see here, as I attempt to assemble this lower joint and this bell, I have to push, and you can hear some groaning as I try to put the pieces together. This requires cork grease to alleviate the problem. I've removed the cap from the cork grease, which we see is shaped conveniently like chapstick. And so we take the cork grease and simply put a thin layer over the cork. It does not require very much cork grease, and if we put too much cork grease in, it can come out all over the place and make a big mess. Once we've applied our cork grease, we proceed as normal, covering the keys, holding the bell, and twisting and pushing, much smoother. A few things to pay attention to when putting the clarinet away. First, make sure that all of your accessories, your reeds, your cork grease, and your swab are kept off the top of the clarinet and in the side pocket available in your case. Next, make sure that we don't place the music on top of the instrument. If we put the music on top of the instrument, the case does not close all the way, and it creates extra pressure and force on the keys when being stored. This extra force over time can bend the keys and cause damage to them requiring repair.